got it. You just don't know you got it. You got it all inside of you. It's inside, you got it. You got it. Let me help you to spot it. You've got it all inside of you. This world can be a prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain. Before the ways of the worldly blind you, allow me to take this time to remind you, in the same place that your hurt resides, you can find heaven and healing right inside you. And if you need help, let me guide you past the lies that you're aligned to, till you're redesigned to find truth in the beauty I see inside you. This world can be your prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain.
The lighthouse, guiding the righteous is all that I'm about. And now I'll be doing it till my light's out and my time's out. I'm only passing on lessons that I received from those steering me in the right route. They always said I was fly, but that I had to believe in my wings to touch the sky. Have the guts to try, possess a lust for life, required for me to do more than just get by. And now I see you in the distance, amongst the misfits, in the mist that clouds your vision of all the gifts that God gave you when He made you, along with the stars, moons, the planets, and sun rays that raised you. So in the fog of all mediocrity, I'm shining this little light for all to see. You already possess your own fresh, but if you have trouble finding it, just call on me.
This world can be a prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain. This world can be your prison, a play yard. Peace of mind's inside and ain't far above the clouds, so prepare to take off as we come together off the radar, far away from everything. Let's release the stress and strain. No need for the baggage, babe, cause we came here to heal that pain.
All right. Before we get started, gonna send you off with the, first of all, happy Black History Month to everybody. Happy Black History Month, you know what I mean? Yes, sir. Let's start with a little history lesson real quick, the only way I know how to do it.
Mighty Africa, residents of other nations.
Zumbi dos palmares, Ganga Zumba, Dandana dos palmares, the mighty Induka, King Cujo and Queen Nanny of the Windward, a priestess, a warrior and spiritual figure, standing over the valleys, dressed in purple robes, bracelets of the enemy's teeth and ivory bones. When they sold me to the traders, had all weapons within me. I was sent to tell that to history. Word to Sam Sharp and Gasper Yanga. God bless the souls of Sharpeville, Americana. Maroons made Miami-Dade when they came around, cause that's where Francis L. Day got laid down. Self-liberated, self-validated, cause self-respect is a beast when it's activated. Married to my melanin, I jumped that boom with music for troops that wanna keep it in tune. We Maroons.
Somebody told a lie one day. They couched it in language. They made everything black, ugly, and evil. Look in your dictionary and see the synonyms of the word black. There's always something degrading and low and sinister. Look at the word white, it's always something pure. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful.
Hated saints.
right. Give me 1 sec here. All right. Welcome. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. Happy Black History Month. All right. We're here from another episode of SOS, Sermons on Sobriety. Shout out to everybody, my Facebook fam. Shout out to my YouTube fam. Shout out to my IG fam. So if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm looking at, different screens here. For those that are on IG, if you're interested in checking out the screen shares and whatnot, you can go to YouTube, and I'm actually broadcasting live on the YouTube channel, or you can stay here. Either way it goes, I'm gonna talk my way through it, so you'll be able to get everything here as well. Shout out to everybody on Facebook, all my Facebook family. Special shout out to my folks that just finished the other day the Alcohol Free and Fit Challenge for 2023. This is our second year doing it. I want to let you guys know I'm real proud of you. I'm proud of myself, proud of everybody that participated. All right. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And I hope that it just gave you something to, a start. You could use it to start your path to sobriety or recovery, or just self-discovery, self-improvement. At the end of the day, it all starts with that. And that kind of actually leads into what we're going to be talking about today. All right. And what we're going to be talking about today, it's kind of inspired by Revelations 21:16, but really more importantly, it's actually inspired by Martin Luther King's speech. He did a speech called The 3 Dimensions of a Complete Life. It's one of my favorite speeches that he had ever done. It's been reproduced in many books. You can actually look online and literally type in 3 Dimensions of a Complete Life, and it'll pop up. And it talks about the length, the breadth, and the height of life. Okay. And in this case, I'm all about sobriety. So we're going to be talking about how that ties into your life of sobriety, because it's something we can definitely pick up from it. All right. So first, I'm going to start with the reading of Revelation 21:16, and I'm going to give you a little bit of background for those who, like myself, I'm not a super biblical scholar or anything like that. I actually picked this up from the speech itself. But in the speech, that is around towards 21:16, John is basically locked up. He's in jail, and he has a vision about a new earth and a new heaven. And he talks about how it's like a perfect square. It's the same length as it is wide, same height. It's very complete. It's very well structured. And all of these dimensions are in order. It's equally as long as it is wide as it is high. There are no uneven corners, everything very complete. And in Martin Luther King's speech, he talks about paralleling this to life. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a little bit of his speech. I'm going to play a little clip from his speech, and then I'll talk about it. And then I'm gonna kind of talk about it. So let me go ahead and share this real quick. Little screen share, and you can listen along. All right. 1 sec here. Here we go. Let's see. Window. Yes. This is the one. Sure. All right. So check this out and listen to that.
Now 3 dimensions of any complete life.
Oh, here we go with the. All right, I may have to read it because it looks like I don't know if it's my. All right, well, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to read it because
we can fitly give the words of this text length, breadth, and height. Now the length of life, as we shall use it here, is the inward concern for one's own welfare. In other words, it is that inward concern that causes one to push forward to achieve his own goals and ambitions. The breath of life, as we shall use it here, is the outward concern for the welfare of others. And the height of life is the upward reach for God. Now you got to have all 3 of these. have a complete life. Have three.
All right, so I'm going to go ahead and read that again just for my IG folks. I'm going to put up the print version, and I've got a few things that'll kind of help give us some context here. Let's see. All right, give me a sec here as I learn. All right, so basically what he was talking about, first he talks about the length of life. And if we look at our lives in sobriety, it kind of starts the same way. The length of life. Now, the length of life, right? He defines it as the inward concern for your own welfare. So in sobriety, when you first start off, and this is really in any form of self-improvement, you have to really be very self-focused, right? You know, I'm always talking about being selfish in sobriety. A lot of people hate that word. They get scared. They're like, I don't want to be a selfish person, blah, blah, blah. But the fact of the matter is, you've got to take care of yourself first. The inward concern for your own welfare. And one of the terms that Martin Luther King used in this speech that was very relevant to give you a healthy perspective. You know, I say selfish, but what he really says is, you know, healthy self-interest, having a healthy self-interest. One of the things that happened with me when I first started on my road to sobriety, which included a few relapses, is day 2, I was trying to get other people to come get sober with me. I was wandering around preaching the gospel of sobriety, right? And talking to other people about how it would help their lives. And I hadn't even really achieved sustained sobriety myself. This is like day 2, right? And although you could say that that's noble, right? Trying to help other people, the fact of the matter is I wasn't in a position to help anybody else. I had yet to help myself, right? It's just like they give that advice saying, you know, never take advice on becoming rich from a poor man. If that person hasn't made themselves rich, why would you listen to them? And when you think about it, you know, especially when you're in the beginning of any form of self-improvement, you've got to be very self-focused. Remember, it's self-improvement. And when they talk about the length of life, think about it like a line, right? A line of duration. You're at one point and you're going towards your goal. Those are the 2 points. Your goal, right? There's one physical human being, and then there's this goal that you have, right? You're running towards something. It's one road, you're on it. And in the beginning with your sobriety, you have to be very clear and very focused on making sure you're staying on that path, right? You're staying on that path. And there's another word he used in this speech, concatenated. All right. And that's saying that these 3 things, length, breadth, and height, concatenated means linked together in a series, in a chain or a series, which means one comes after the other, right? So the first link in this chain is the length. It's the length of life. Your inward concern, cleaning up your own house, if you will, right? Before you run around coming to other people's houses, talking about where they should place their furniture and what they need to throw away. Taking care of yourself. And there's nothing wrong with that. Matter of fact, you are no good to the rest of the universe, to anybody else, until you can take care of yourself, right? No use in me telling my son about going to get a job if I'm jobless, if I have no means to support myself. I need to worry about going to get employed first and being that example, right? I'd rather see a sermon than to hear one any day, right? Starting and focusing with yourself. And there's actually another biblical verse that really speaks to this, right? And that's Luke 10:27. What does it say? Luke 10:27 says, and he answered, saying, thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul and with all thy strength and with all thy mind, right? And I forgot to read. And at the end it says, you love yourself as you love your neighbor. What that implies, though, is you've got to love yourself first, right? One of the things he says, Martin Luther King says in there, is before you can love others adequately, you've got to be able to love yourself properly. Before you can worry about somebody else's sobriety or somebody else's improvement or their goals, right? You've got to love yourself enough to tend to your own situation, your own sobriety, your own self-improvement. Solidify that. Let that inspire others to seek their own sobriety, right? And you've got to be able to do that properly. Even in my book, for those who have read it, because a lot of people, a lot of people have read it, then there are some people who haven't that have assumptions about it, right? Based on the title, Sobriety in Black. Yes, I'm a Black man. Yes, I focus on my people first. Absolutely. I make no shames about it. And if you got a problem with it, that's on you, right? You can learn from it. Just like, hey, I learned from white history, Latino history. I learned from all kinds of history. And I learned from it in order to serve who? Me, okay? In order to serve my folks. I try to figure these things out. Why do I learn from other people's walks in sobriety? So that I can strengthen my own, right? And because before I can really help anybody else, I've got to be able to help myself properly. And it's important, right? Love thy neighbor. What did it say? Love your thy neighbor as you love yourself. Well, what that implies is that you've got to love you can't really love your neighbor fully until you know how to love yourself properly. And a lot of times, in the beginning, one of the issues I had was I used helping others as a distraction from taking care of myself. You got people who they get sober on Monday and on Wednesday, they're a sobriety coach. They're out here trying to tell everybody else how to do it. Okay, I'm 11 years sober. Yes, I'm a recovery coach. I'm 11 years sober. I did not try to do that. Well, yes, I did, and that's why I relapsed in the beginning. But as far as this, like my current stint of 11 years, I focused on strengthening myself, right? And that's where the length of life, walking your road, right? Now, next. And if you think about it, just as when you're growing up as a child, children are what? Very self-aware, very self-centered. They're worried about when they're hungry. They can't even sense if somebody else is hungry around them. They're children. They're just worried about how they feel. And that's not them being selfish. That's them really being self-aware. That's self-preservation. Self-preservation is what? The first law of nature. Not help everybody on the world, right? No, it's the first law of self-preservation, right? And so understanding that, even on a plane, what do they say? Before you put on somebody else's life vest, take care of yourself, right? And so we focused on that length of life. And a lot of times we'll do that. We'll worry about other people in order to divert from looking at ourselves, going inward. And you've got to start inward. Okay, looking at yourself, looking at your cravings, looking at the mental issues or the psychological issues that lead you to drink. Looking at these things. These are the things that you need to look at, and you need to be focused. And in the beginning, just like I said in my book, the first stage, BLACK, those are stages of sobriety. The first is begin, and you have to begin. My date, July 24th, 2011, that's my date. That's the day when I became sober. Maybe there's a bunch of other people who became sober on the same day. Couldn't tell you, couldn't care. I know the first day I started, I decided to say, I'm not picking up another bottle, right? You have to begin. Then what? You have to learn. What are you learning about? Learning about yourself, learning about your cravings, learning about your past, learning about your trauma, learning about why you drink, learning about what you're running from, learning about what you're running to, learning about why you're dependent on this substance. But it's centered in you, going inward, learning about the people that you have wronged, right? And then even in the steps, you got to admit that you're powerless. It doesn't say you run around pointing to other people, oh, you're a drunk. Oh, you're an alcoholic too. Oh, you're an addict. Well, what about you? Well, what about you? No, you got to admit that you're powerless. That's self-focused. You know, people don't like the term self-centered. Fine. Self-focused. You have to be self-focused, especially if you want to help other people. You have to be. You've got to be the best you can be, so that superpower of influence that I talk about in my book, right? The superpower of sobriety influence can emanate, and then you can become a lighthouse for others. But you don't turn your light off trying to tell people to come to you until you've cleaned everything else up in that, until that light is so powerful and so shines so bright that other people can see it. That's important, right? The next stage, and if you think about it, as you grow older, as you mature, you go from a baby that's worried about themselves and their own situation to worrying about others. Maybe you get a little brother, you get a little sister, you start caring about your mom and your dad, right? And you know, your mom and your dad stubbed their toe and they hurt. You're like, Mom, are you okay? When you're a baby, you don't do that. Mom and dad can stub their toe, chop it. You're gonna be looking like you can't even tell. It doesn't hurt you. But once you become an adolescent, then you become more mature. You become, you know, maybe you become you get a girlfriend or something as a teenager. You start worrying about your girl, worrying about your boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? You start worrying, you start looking at other people, right? You start empathy, the power of empathy comes into your life. And that's where the breath of life comes in. You know, the distance of measurement from side to side, 2 points. Now, your goal may be the same. Sobriety can be down here, but you start connecting, beginning, learning, acting. That's the third. When you act on your sobriety, then you connect with other people. Now, mind you, these are stages, but it's a continuum. So you can connect with other people in order to serve yourself. You go to AA meetings so that you can be around people that share a light struggle with you, so that you draw strength from them in order to fight on, or you get an accountability partner or a sponsor in order to keep yourself sober, right? Then as you go further in your sobriety, you start caring about other people as you strengthen yourself up in sobriety, or in your weight loss, or in your, you know, therapy or whatever. You may go out and you start in dealing with the breath of life, which is the outward concern for others. And that gets built, and your ability, that effect size of your outward concern and the value of your outward concern for others is directly related to how strong and how well you built yourself up. If you build the stronger you make yourself, the stronger you're going to be able to make other people. For every year that I tack on a sobriety, the more I convince other people that it's possible to not only get sober, but to maintain it, to recover. We've talked about the difference between sobriety and recovery, right? Sobriety is just putting down the bottle. Recovery is figuring out why you went to the bottle to begin with and dealing with those situations, right? And that's where the breath of life comes in. Now you're concerned for others. Now you may be able to talk to others. What it is for me is people started, at first, I was worried about my own sobriety because I didn't think anybody else around me wanted to get sober. I'm going to be honest. You know, first I tried to tell everybody, it was like, man, whatever. First of all, they didn't think I could do it. Then after a couple of years, right, what happened was other people started coming to me, asking me questions. And that's where my breath of life got strengthened, right? Just like the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. This is where there can be an interdependence, right? And that's, you know, whether it's going to meetings, smart recovery, all of those things, your church, other people that you know, right? They start rooting you on. You know, in the beginning, I had people that were trying to get me back to drinking. Then after a while, it got to the point where if they saw me looking like I was drinking, they were ready to beat me up. And a lot of these people were people that still drank, but they liked who I became. They knew that it wasn't for me. And so they started to care, and their breath of life widened, right? And it helped me to strengthen myself up. It's kind of like in a relay race, right? You got the first, you know, your individual self, you pass it on, boom, 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 right? Then you take it home. But that breadth of life, that's where you're wide. You start connecting with others. Now there's 2 points. Those 2 points are 2 people. The length of life was the 2 points was you and your goal. It really was 1 point going in this direction. Okay, you widen that road when you connect with another person. Now it's like this, and that adds breadth to your life. You know, you may say with breath, right? And that outward concern for others strengthens you in your sobriety. That's where it can help you, right? But it's not going to do you any good to be connecting and trying to help all kind of other people if you still got things in your house to clean up. If you still are, really working on your sobriety. That's why in the beginning, you need to be very focused on yourself. And if there are other people falling by the wayside, hey, you can do what you can. You got to leave them be. And you got to be concerned about you and yours and taking care of you and yours. Because ultimately, in the beginning, you are responsible for you. Just like I'm responsible for my family. Right? I have to take care of them. I can't be running around here telling everybody else how to do their thing if I haven't done my thing correctly. All right. So that's where the breadth of life comes in. You connect with others. And then thirdly, you have the height of life. That's the upward climb towards God. Now, in the case of sobriety, you talk about God. We're talking about the universe. We're talking about everybody. So we've got the length of life, the self, the breadth of life, another person, the height of life, the all, your position in the world. I talk about that as a superpower, really finding your purpose and your position in the world of all things, seen and seen, known and unknown. Who are you? Self-awareness and how that's what you are aware of within yourself can benefit all of humanity. For me, this is it. For me, this is the start of my, really dealing up towards my height of life. Sobriety for me is now a spiritual thing. It is tied to who I am. But just like anything else, you can fall into God, you can fall out, right? There are people who, they may accept and join a certain religion or a certain, theological school of thought and then fall out of it. That's why I say in my book, that the subtitle of my book is Confessions of a Retired Alcoholic. Because just like anybody that's retired, just like an ex-drug dealer, just like an ex-practicing Christian or an ex-anything, right? You can always go back, whether it's something positive or something negative. You can always go back. Just because when I say that my sobriety is spiritual, that doesn't mean it's tied to me and I'll be sober for the rest of my life and I can't say that. I can say I'm taking it one day at a time. I can say that on a spiritual level, I think about and I consider and I stay mindful because that is the rent that I pay. My mindfulness is the rent that I pay to maintain my sobriety. It isn't purchased. It's not a given. I have to pay rent, and that rent that I pay is my mindfulness. And that mindfulness for me is attached to everything that makes me me. It's attached to my position in society. All right. God damn it. Oh, sorry, y'all. Jeez. Somebody called me in the middle of my thing. Oh, geez. Excuse me. Forgive me, Lord. But I forgot to put my thing off for people calling me. But that's the height of life, the upward climb to God, right? And in sobriety, as you get further, you're going to feel it first from a physical level. Remember, the stages in the Black method: begin, learn, act, connect, keep going, right? So you begin as the individual. That's the length of your life in sobriety, focusing on yourself, making sure that you are cleaning up your house, being selfish in sobriety, okay? Being selfish, understanding that you are no good to the rest of the world if you are not good to yourself, okay? The inward concern for your own sobriety, healthy self-interest. Healthy, and that's what Martin Luther King said, healthy self-interest. There's nothing wrong with being self-interested. And in the beginning on your walk to sobriety, you need to be very self-interested. Why? Mainly because you've got to clean up your own house, and also because that's when you really get attacked on all sides from other people. Your old drinking buddies are going to come after you. All right. Other people who'd like to be sober, but they may not be as strong as you. If they fall off, they're going to come and try and pull you down with them. So you do have to be selfish. You know what I'm saying? You do have to leave them where they choose to stand. If that's where they choose to be, if they choose not to move on, you cannot let that stop you. Okay? Because it can happen. You will have people very close to you trying to undermine your sobriety. People you love, people you used to drink with, relatives, I mean, older relatives, some of you guys, your own mama, your own daddy. Okay? And it's important. Oh man, we got comments and I ain't even looked. I'm so sorry. You know, and it's important for you to, you know, focus on yourself and be, you know, I call it rabid about it. Like I have cussed people out trying to get me to get back to drinking. I'll never forget an experience where I got basically bullied. Well, I can't blame him because at the end of the day, I made a decision, but I kind of got bullied into drinking and I succumbed to peer pressure. And I felt like such a sucker, man. And that, you know, part of that is because, and some of those same individuals that got me there are now people who have called me and said, how do you do it? How did you do it? I want it for myself. And I'm very quick to tell them, hey man, you gotta go get it. You gotta go and you gotta take it. And you can't let anybody else distract you. Don't let that breath of life, don't let you trying to save the world and all that stuff, all right, affect you. So we talk about the length of life, you as that individual walking on your path and being able to be alone on that path, needing to be alone, needing to be in connection. Because until you clean up yourself, you don't need to be focused on anybody else. That's why, like we said here in Luke 10:20, 10:27, how it says, love your neighbor as yourself, as yourself. That means it implies that you already love yourself properly so that you can love others adequately. But you've got to love yourself properly. It can't go in the other order. All right. Then as you grow in your sobriety, just as you grow in life, we get to the breath of life. Right? The outward concern for others. And you'll be strong enough. I'd say after about my 5th or 6th year, that's when I probably got to the breath where people, and that was really because people started coming to me asking me for advice. And I was comfortable giving it to them because I started off by talking to people who also wanted sobriety, not debating people that wanted to, you know, have these little discussions. Everybody knows I don't do debates. I've had people asking me about doing interviews and stuff. And first of all, length of life. I'm here for my people. People know this. Yeah, some people here tuned in here now. We had that discussion. There are certain interviews I've turned down. Why? Because right now I'm here dealing with my people. So if I'm going to get interviewed, you better go find you somebody black to interview me. Yeah, you own the podcast? Fantastic. Go find somebody black to interview me. I'm not going to debate that person. I'm not going to debate an orange, green, white, yellow, nobody, because can't nobody tell me nothing. I talk, you agree, or you get on. That's how we do it over here. My length of life is very strong when it comes to my sobriety, all right? You either get it or get on. I ain't got time, all right? But if you want to be helped, if you're genuine in your pursuit of sobriety, then that's why I extend my hand. And this is the width. This is the breath of life. Boom. Come with me. Boom. Maybe not come with me, but you can hear what I have to say, and I hope it'll pour into you. All right? But until I fill my cup up, I ain't got nothing to say to you, bruh. Period. All right? Then we deal with the breath of life, the outward concern for others. Right? Because yes, if you want to go far, you go together, because it's also an interdependent thing. As I help other people, I do help myself. It helps me to maintain my sobriety. Every person I help becomes an accountability partner. Every person I help becomes an accountability because now I got more eyes on me, right? When we recover loudly, we help keep others from dying quietly. But I recover for myself loudly. Other people see it. Then they can, you know, it helps them, keep them from dying quietly. And then in the end, we do all of this so that our position in the world right? God being the all, right? Our position is solidified. It's most meaningful. Our sobriety is not just meaningful to us. It's now meaningful to the next person, even our own family, but meaningful to people we don't even know. Meaningful to people who see us, but we don't see them. A good friend of mine, my brother Bert, he told me something good because I talk about the lighthouse. And in my song in the beginning, I talked about being a lighthouse, right? And they talk about this in AA too, being a lighthouse of sobriety for other people, other ships out there, like what a lighthouse does. It lets other ships know where there's land, right? But one of the things he said, my good friend told me, which was something I hadn't really thought about, was that as a lighthouse, you don't really see the boats. Like I do these videos, might get 1 view, 2 views, 2 or 3 people, right? But I don't know how many people are checking it out quietly, right? Dying quietly or trying to live quietly. But I have to keep my light on, right? Just like your porch light at the house. That light has no clue if you see it or not, but it stays on, stays consistent. And sometimes, a lot of times, you know, even for myself, in my struggle to be consistent with things like these videos and whatnot, I can get discouraged sometimes because I'm like, man, I don't know if anybody's paying attention, if I'm even serving anybody, if I'm serving this height of life, this upward climb to God. Am I being effective, or am I just wasting my time? Is there something else I'm supposed to be doing? But that's where I also got to tap back into me, that length. Hey, Hanif, is this what you feel is right for you to do? Yes. Then you don't need any outward validation. You just do it. You just do it. You're not doing it. And this is where we talked about last week in the Haggadah Davida, where it talks about doing things without worrying about the result. Detach yourself from the result. Detach yourself from the expectation. Okay? Would I like to have 13 million people tuned in every time I click on? Yeah, but that's not why I do it. I do it because it's the right thing to do. I do it because I believe and know that it's meaningful. And at least if I die tomorrow, this is here for somebody and it will outlast me. I'm always talking to my kids about legacy. You know what I'm saying? What are you going to create? What are you going to do that's going to outlast your physical body? And when you find that purpose, a lot of us go our whole lives without knowing what that purpose is, what it is. You know, in finishing my book, I was, nervous about the outcome. Am anybody going to buy it? Is it going to matter? Am I going to get criticized? Blah, blah, blah. My therapist told me, is that why you're writing it? Or are you writing it because you feel like it's some good stuff to write? I said, yeah, that's why I'm doing it. Well, then do it. Stop worrying about, well, what if nobody buys it? So what? That's not why you originally wrote it. You know, we're always talking about clout, right? And views and all that stuff. I didn't write it for clout. I wrote it because I felt like it was the right thing to do. I wrote it because, yes, I had some people asking me for advice. And even if they hadn't, I said, well, dang, man, okay, I did this. Hey, I can lay this down and this is something good I can leave for the world. If I die tomorrow, my kids can at least say I tried to help the world in some way, shape, or form. And that's how I love my neighbor as I love myself, right? And every single one of you out here, whether you're watching this today or watching this a million years from now, you have a purpose. You are meant to contribute something, whether it's while you're living and after you go. And remember, while you're living, what you are going to leave, whether you like it or not, you are going to leave things here that are going to affect future generations. Whether you like it or not, why not be deliberate? And that's where the upward climb towards God comes into play. Okay, I've been sober. I found some things that work for me. What can I do with this information? Well, you can start by sharing it. And everybody out there that shares a meme, a post, one of my videos, your own video, a TikTok, right, of some good, healthy, meaningful information, well, you're already walking that higher climb. Okay. And like I told you, yes, these are stages, but you kind of do all 3 of them as you move on. Even as a kid, you may have prayed. Your mom taught you about God and how to interact with God and how to give. You may do community service. Yes, even though I was very focused on my own personal sobriety, I knew somebody was watching me from day one, whether it was my own children, right? From day one of my sobriety, when I was super selfish in it, worried about myself, I didn't care if nobody else, I said to myself, okay, I'm going to stop trying to heal the world and let me heal myself. I knew somebody was watching me, right? But that wasn't my main focus. My main focus was, let me clean my house up. Let me get it straight. Okay. And so, in closing, when you get a chance to, just Google The 3 Dimensions of a Complete Life by Martin Luther King. Fantastic speech. The whole thing is his whole speech. That whole speech is on YouTube. You can find it on PDF. Read it, read it, read it. It is one of my favorite Martin Luther King speeches. Last week I think I talked about the letter from Birmingham jail. These are the speeches that should be taught in school that aren't. Okay, way better than I Have a Dream. Way better. I'm gonna say it. I'll say it again. It's way better than I Have a Dream. The way more meaningful, way more impactful, way more information that's gonna benefit you. Okay, so these things that I'm giving you, this ain't something that came out of my mouth. This ain't something that I'd made up. The length, width, breadth of life, all of these things, you read that speech, it's going to give it to you. But I just like to give it to you from the standpoint and through the lens of sobriety, because that's the life I'm living. That's my purpose. And so I hope that is poured into you. I hope you guys have a great, great, great day. All right, let me look and see if there's any last, because I still got to get better at these comments. Hey, thank you too. All right, Derek, Isaac, I appreciate you. One says Facebook user, whoever that is, like, definitely the bros, Rudy, you. This is Black History Month. So, study up, learn something new. I'm probably for the rest of this month, I'm going to be focused on things that were written by our brothers and sisters. All right. Because, I stay focused on it. And hopefully just whatever you find can pour into you. If you have any questions about anything or you can't find, the PDF or anything like that, just DM me. I'll send you the link and, enjoy your day. I hope you guys have a great one. For those sober soldiers out there, maybe you're starting your first day of sobriety, I want to wish you the best of luck. God bless. Hopefully this video will pour into you. All right. Either way it goes, you do know this. When it comes to my length, I'm going to be sober tomorrow. I'm going to get through today, and I hope you're there with me. All right. So God bless. Hope you have a great day. And until next time, peace. Yeah.
Back when I was drinking, alcohol was my God, alcoholism was my religion, and an alcoholic was my identity.
And I can never be who I used to be. I'm sorry if you got used to me.
Our history with alcohol, how it's marketed to us, our relationship with alcohol versus other groups of people and their relationship to alcohol is different. And so it requires extra considerations when we're looking at sobriety and recovery. Sobriety in Black is about alcoholism. It's about the DUIs. It's about the wrecks. It's about the revelation. And it's about the recovery. It's about a process that can help anybody gain freedom from their addictions.